Welcome back. So, if you made it this far, I've just given you a brief synopsis of what the process is like. It's just filled with a whole bunch of chaos, and you basically end up saying, "Okay, God, Jesus, take the wheel." And I had already given up the apartment, like not paid the lease, incurred this huge fee, but nobody's bothering me about that. So I'm just going to pretend, I'm just going to pretend that the Lord has taken care. And then he tells me that I need to quit my job. I'm just sitting at home. I think it was Saturday, and the thing is, for the last 2 weeks at this particular place, like, I just began to feel the hate. Now, the thing is, when people feel guilty because they're gossiping or just being negative behind the scenes, again, they're doing it to scapegoat you. And then they have to do it again and find some way to make you guilty. This is where things get kind of, unfixable, when somebody has got to see you as a negative person in order to justify for themselves why they feel so guilty, why it's okay for them to continue to do the stuff that they know is hurtful. Now, the thing is, you've grown and you can recognize this coming from a mile away, but the people who are perpetrating, they think you're blind to it. And so I was sitting in prayer, and it was like the week before I left, that last Monday, and God told me, this was a Wednesday, that this person was going to come in and they were going to ask about the boxes. Now, the thing is, you guys, I work in the daytime. And so sometimes we get shipment and I would put it up because I'm at work. I'm at work. There are other people who get paid to be there, but there's just a lot of stuff that nobody else would do. And I do it because you don't want to be in a mess all day. Long story short, I had called in the Thursday before, because I was just so sick. Like, that, I told you, the negativity just gets to you and it will make you ill. And I could not go in. And honestly, I think it was the Lord doing it, because I believe that's the day that the boxes got there. And I would have been there on that Thursday and put them up, and we would have never gotten to where we got. And so she didn't come in that Wednesday and ask, but she did come in that Thursday. And I said, no, I'm not putting them up, because the boxes they got there a full week before. Multiple people had worked there. It's not my responsibility. It's something I do because I'm here, but to leave all of this here as though this is somehow my job is ridiculous. And she went off with an attitude. Now, the thing is, she'll never own as to why she was doing that. Oh, I was just busy and da 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 da. No, you went off and you called your five little friends and told them about how this and that. And I mean, it got to the point to where this woman, it felt like she wanted to hit me. You guys, I'm not doing anything but being at work at this point. So, you know, I had already had this little prophetic thing on Wednesday where God had me screenshot it. I knew that, and I went home. That's when it became real to me, you guys. Some of you have these very big, grand dreams as well as I did. And not to say that I haven't been pursuing the vision, because that would be stupid. My entire life was wrapped around it. But there was always this, nah, it's got to be here before I actually like believe it. I had to believe it to see it. But that morning, hold on just a second, I'll be right back. All right, you guys, sorry about that. I ran out of like the little video things. Like I said, these are my first videos, and right now I'm just talking. I'll get it all figured out. I know I will. With that being said, I kind of realized, she wasn't going to acknowledge that she was being this type of hateful behind my back. But God had already told me that when I had that vision on Saturday, that when I go back in there, the boxes would still be there, but not the ones she wanted you to put up. And she did. She had other boxes that were hers, and God let me know what that meant. It was just emotional baggage that was always going to be dropped in someone else's space to deal with. Ooh, yeah, that's what that was. And so I knew at that moment when I walked in on Monday, no, it was time to go. And the next week, they tried to convince me to stay, wondering if I'm listening to God, all this other stuff. The classic of I've never let myself go that far with it to where I would lose things I thought I worked for. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, they won't do the whole, let me step out of the comfort zone, because it's a pretty cushiony job. And I think that was part of the reason why there was such a level of disrespect there. Like, honestly didn't think that I would get up and leave this to go someplace else. No, I know my self-worth. This is ridiculous. I'm going to sit here and deal with this nonsense. The excuse when I got back on Monday was that another nurse had finally put up the boxes because they were helping that person. And the honest truth is no. Like I say, you guys, I had gotten to the point to where the truth just hits my soul. I know what you intend stuff to sound like, but let me tell you what the truth behind those words are. And when she said that, this lady helped me. No, you don't need the help for that. If you've assigned it to one person to be a job, then it's a job for everyone. They're here to complete a purpose. And suddenly I realized that all the people in her life were just that. They were there to help her because she feels like she's in a helpless situation. And she's not the only one, you guys. People, if you're here listening to this, understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth, you've definitely dealt with this before. The type you can't do a whole lot for. It's just they want to be able to stay there. And suddenly it hit me. There's absolutely no way that I can still stay in this space because I can't go to you have to meet people where they are, and I can't keep going back to that level of negative. And I was doing way too much, so much so that my help had turned into enablement. And the second that you stop helping, then there is resentfulness that comes on because why are you rejecting me now? So many issues come up. No, none of this is helpful to you. It's just not helping you learn the responsibilities of your actual life, which is the reason why when we go out there to try to do things, we don't have the stamina to make it work because unless, all hands are on deck, we don't know what we're doing. So I got to a point there when I walked in today, the energy was just bad as usual. And I will tell you about that in part 3.